Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard and I are talking about apps that get you out of your house. Plus, the Apple event happened, and we are going to round up everything that took place. We'll answer your questions. We've got some great feedback, Shortcuts Corner, plus our picks of the week. It's all that on iOS today. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Headspace. Devoting just a few minutes per day to focus on your thoughts can change your life. Headspace is the easy-to-use app that can help you sleep, focus, act, and just be better. Go to headspace.com/iOS today for a free 1-month trial. And by Amazon Pharmacy. Amazon Prime members can save on prescription medication when not using insurance and get free 2-day delivery. Learn more at amazon.com/iOS. Hello and welcome to iOS Today, the show where we talk about all things iOS, iPadOS, tvOS, HomePodOS, watchOS, and all the OSs that Apple has on offer. This is a show about Apple operating systems, apps, games, accessories, devices. It's all that, and we have a lot of fun here. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I'm the other host, Rosemary Orchard.
Hello, Rosemary. How are you today?
Oh, I'm excited, Mikah. We had a good event on Tuesday, so we have loads of things to talk about. And then, of course, we've got, our app picks of the week and all of that. So, yeah, it's going to be a good episode.
Quite a packed show, yes. We are kicking things off with apps that get you out of the house. It's okay to go outside, to walk around, to chase your bliss. And so we thought we'd talk about some apps that you can use to kind of encourage that. And it all starts with a very well-known app. For some, an infamous app. For others, a famous app. Tell us your first pick for the app segment, Rosemary.
Well, my first pick, Mikah, is temporarily missing. There we go. Is actually Pokémon GO. And I like this app because it encourages you to get outside. It wants you to get your steps in, to get up your step count and so on. And if you do that, then you can do things like hatch eggs and so on. But also it has AR in it and it integrates with your environment. So I went for a walk earlier today in the park as necessary homework for this episode. And while I was out in the park, a wild trubbish appeared. And so I was standing there in the park and there's this little golf course next to the park. And so I'm there and I'm trying to catch my trubbish. And so I recorded this video of me doing that so that I'm not trying to also catch a Pokemon while on the show. As you can see, I didn't do a great job. It took me a while. And eventually I managed to catch it. And voila, I got it. And what I really like about this is the way that it really forces you to get outside. So for people who have been to places like Tokyo and opened Pokemon GO there, they will be well aware that these gyms are literally everywhere. You can see there's 2 of them right there in the background, right before I leveled up. And gyms, however, usually aren't found in residential areas. So you'll need to actually go somewhere to find out about a gym and then to train your Pokemon there. And of course, over lockdown, these things have been going through waves of popularity. And now they seem to be gaining popularity again as people can get outside, at least over here. I actually saw quite a few people in the park playing Pokemon GO, which was quite fun. I had to turn around and come back to make sure I was here for the show on time, so I didn't get time to train my Pokemon. But I really like it. So you go out and you try and catch your Pokemon. You pick one as your companion. I've got an Eevee at the moment, and you collect eggs. You hatch eggs by going for walks. So you need to get out and do your exercise to do that. And you can also catch Pokemon while you're out and about, which is not something you can do if you're just sitting at home. You might find that they appear near you from time to time, but going out for a walk is a surefire way to find some new stuff.
Yes, it is, again, amongst some folks, a very popular app. I know, what is it? It's Lisa Laporte, CEO of Twit, who is a big Pokemon goer, as well as Renee Ritchie, who still plays. And I don't even know what ridiculous level they're all on. I remember getting this game in the beginning and playing it for a while. But I didn't end up sticking around with it. But my goodness, there are some folks who are so good at this game, have completely developed communities around this game, and have traveled all over the United States for this game. There are some situations where you can benefit by going outside of the United States to catch certain Pokemon and to get certain things. And so it's kind of wild what this game has done over time in terms of getting people up, getting people out, getting people going. Niantic, the company that makes this, along with the Pokemon company, worked together when the pandemic hit to make it a little bit easier for you to catch and hatch and all the different things that you do in Pokemon Go while you're at home. And then, later on kind of updated it to include some opportunities so that while you're out, you can still kind of remain safe while you're catching. It was one of the, there's a little look of the eye there. It was one of the first, it was a really good representation of augmented reality early on, so that you could sort of catch a Pokemon in the space you were in, kind of give you a glance into the Poke world. And so I know a lot of folks liked it for that. It continues to get updates, continues to improve, and folks are digging it.
Yeah, for people who aren't super Pokemon fans, there's also Harry Potter Wizards Unite, which works on a very similar principle. You don't have Pokemon eggs to hatch. There's other things involved, but they're both great fun games, and they're free to download, of course. So, well worth giving it a try. And you might think, I don't know, it seems kind of childish. That's what I thought when I first saw it, and then I got hooked. I don't play it super regularly, but I go through phases, and it's always good to have these things around.
All right. Let's see what is next on the list.
Well, the next one actually was inspired by a recommendation I heard, I believe, here on iOS Today, maybe back when it was iPad Today, which was actually Zombies Run. Now, Zombies Run is a great app for runners. However, I'm not a runner. My knees protest should I run, and I prefer walking and cycling. So Zombies Run is not necessarily the right app for me, but there's another app by the same company called The Walk, fitness game tracker. And the idea of The Walk is you need to go for a walk to hear clips in an audio story. And the further you walk, the more clips you get, and the more of the story you can hear. And, if you stop, then you're not going to get through it. It says today, cancel that, sorry. It says today I've walked for 6 minutes. Earlier it was saying 16 minutes. And that's because I went for a walk and then I stopped because I came back and I had to record the show. So it does want you to continue walking. If we look at this episode, we can see it's episode 1 and the Earth was. The idea is, I'm not going to give too much away, but basically, you're part of a story and you're listening, and there's challenges as you go. So there's a couple of episodes, and then there's challenges like looking for sentries, another episode, and so on. And basically, all of these require you to get out of the house and go for a walk. Now, they don't make you leave the house. If you want to walk on a treadmill or something, that's absolutely fine. You can do that. But you can see at the top approximately how long each one should be. And then also you can see, if you tap on the top right, the parts of the story I've already unlocked. So I could go ahead and play those. The problem with that is, of course, I can't share that audio easily with you. But the app is free to download. And there's also a map version. So the idea is you start at Inverness Station and you walk around. Now, I did not need to follow this path. I don't live in Scotland. I live in the south of England, and getting to Scotland, especially right now, especially for an afternoon walk, is not an easy excursion. So I just went out of the house and I went to my local park, and I did quite a brisk walk, and then I had to turn around I had to stop, catch a Pokemon, turn around and come home to make sure I was back in time for the episode. But I got to hear some segments of the story, and then I started listening to music, and of course it paused those segments, and it didn't continue them. And that's when I found this button, up here in the top right of the chapter, where I can actually hear all of the clips together. So you can just go out and walk and go through and collect it if you want, like Pokemon, you get them all, and then you can listen to it in one chunk. But if you don't do the walking, then you don't get to hear the talking.
I like that. We should mention too, for folks who have an Apple Watch and are Apple Fitness Plus subscribers. I'm trying to think of how that works. Is Fitness Plus its own thing, or is it part of something else now?
Fitness Plus is its own thing.
Thank you. So if you're a Fitness Plus subscriber and you have an Apple Watch, I'm so blessed with my Apple One subscription. So a little privilege there, I guess. But if you have a Fitness Plus subscription and an Apple Watch, Apple also has these really cool walking exercises where they have different influential people who will, you pop in your AirPods or you pop in your Bluetooth headphones, and they'll talk as the both of you walk. So they did it with Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda on Earth Day. I can't remember some of the other people, but there've been quite a few so far, and they continue to add them. So that's another kind of thing to get you out and moving about, particularly if you're well within the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah. Those are some great options. If you go into the Fitness Plus, I still have the option to try it for free. I keep meaning to sign up, and I need to go and do that. But I've been doing some other things, so you can go through, and there's Wanda Sykes and Malcolm Gladwell and Keisha, all sorts of people. So have a look and see. And there are different lengths as well, and it says on the front of each of these how long it is. But something you might notice with these is they're sort of 30-40 minutes, and 30-40 minutes. That's a bit of chunk of time out of your day. And so for some people, I can see why 30 to 40 minutes might be perhaps a little bit much. And so I have another app that I'm going to show here. And I promise you, I did actually go outside for a long walk earlier. And it says 6 minutes of brisk walking, because that's what I've been doing recently. But the idea of this app is called One U Active 10 Walk Tracker. So the idea is that you need to get up and be active for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is not a huge ask, which of course makes it much easier than trying to fit 45 minutes into your day for a walk or something. And when you set it up, you need to pick some goals. So if I look in the settings, then I can select this. So I've said, I want to feel fitter and healthier. I want to make regular walks a part of my lifestyle, and I want to improve my mood. It's always nice to get outside, see dogs play. One of them jumped into a river after a stick earlier. The owner, I could tell, was very much not impressed that dog's going to need a bath when they get home. And then you can also set your target to be 1 active 10, 2 active 10s, or 3 active 10s. And the idea is that, in total, this is going to add up to multiple blocks of 10 minutes of active walking. So I've set it to 1 active 10. Realistically, I'm probably going to do more. And you can also set up rewards. So if you want to, that's not something I've played with. And of course, there's reminders as an option. So it'll pop up in the day and you can specify that it should remind you at a good time in your day. So if 8 o'clock in the morning, the default time is not good for you, you could change that to 6 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever works for you, of course. But as you go, you collect your walks, and you can see I've achieved my 1 active 10 today, and I'm doing pretty well. And it's assigned me some rewards already. Over the week, well, I did only reinstall this app today. I had it installed last summer, and I was using it and doing 3 active 10s a day, which was lovely. And then it got to winter and it was cold and wet and horrible. And so I didn't want to go outside anymore. And that's why we're doing this topic this week. So I can see here that I've done 16 minutes of brisk walking and I've done 18 minutes of walking. I suspect those 2 minutes were while I was putting my keys in my bag, while walking away and getting my AirPods Pro out and putting them in my ears and everything, and the reverse on the way home. But, I really, I like this app. It's simple. It's easy to use. There's a suite of apps which look quite similar to this, including sort of Couch to 5Ks and so on. But the Active 10 walk tracker is one of my favorites.
Nice. The 2 apps that I want to talk about are both in the same category and offer similar features, but they each have their own kind of little magic that's with them. And they are for folks who want to go out, especially so here in California. Here in Northern California, my partner and I like to go to the Bodega Bay beaches, and there's not as much light pollution as you get closer to San Francisco and things like that, and places like that. So with that, you can see more stars than you can see in other places in Northern California. And last time we went to the beach, we went whenever it was getting ready for the sun to set. And, looking up and seeing all these stars, and the ocean is literally right there, making the sound, and you're looking up at all these stars. It's really cool. But I forgot to download the apps that I'm going to tell you about next, which would have been so cool to have, because whereas when I was a kid, I don't know who it was, if it was my mom or I don't remember at this point, but somebody at some point told me about constellations. I may have read it in a book even. And, when it looked and found the constellations that I could find out in the sky, but for my partner, that was not something that he had done. And so I was pointing out the ones. It's very easy to find Draco. And if you can find Draco, then you can find Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. But outside of Orion is a really easy one to spot. Outside of those, I don't know the other constellations as well. And so I was like, these apps would be great to have right now. And so I encourage anybody to check out. We'll start with Sky Guide, which the cool thing about these apps is that they both provide AR experiences. And that's actually I'll just do the portrait mode for this. So I'm not going to show the AR version because I'm indoors, and so it doesn't work as well. But if you're outside and you turn on AR, it will actually help you track where the different stars are in the sky and the different constellations. So in the top right corner, I can tap on this compass button. And by doing so, it locks with the compass. So as I'm moving my phone around in both sort of horizontally in space, but also tilting and panning in space, it will start to move the screen so you can focus where something is. And if you see in the background, for people who are watching, there's sort of a mountainous view. That's the horizon line. So everything below the horizon line is stuff that I couldn't see right now because it's quite literally below us. Versus if I look up, then I can see the different constellations that are above. So there's Cygnus, there's is it Cepheus, I think? Draco the dragon, one of my favorite constellations. So then there you've got Ursa Minor, who's pouring the ladle of water onto Draco's tail. And then, of course, then there's Ursa Major, or the Big Dipper. And as we go around, we can see, wow, Camelopardalis, which looks to be a giraffe. Perseus, don't know what that one is. Taurus, Orion, my favorite. I love Orion. That's a cool constellation. And you can just sort of keep going around in space. If I tap on the bottom, I was going to say, if I tap in the top right corner where that camera icon is, that will turn on augmented reality. And then it can actually show you an overlay of your actual sky and help you point to the different stuff that's in the sky. There's a calendar within the app that lets you see some of the stuff so you can plan for it. So on April 26th, there's going to be a supermoon. It tells you what a supermoon is. Regardless of how you feel about using superlatives to describe things only slightly out of the ordinary, only slightly larger than usual, there is no denying that supermoon has entered the public lexicon. A more technical name for this event, though probably only uttered by astronomers, is perigee. I have no idea how to pronounce that. It refers to being the closest point in a satellite's elliptical orbit around Earth, and is a straight line configuration of three bodies. In this case, the sun, the earth, and the moon. So maybe there's some cool magic that'll happen while the supermoon is out. There's some meteor showers happening from May 6th to May 7th, or rather the peak of it will be on May 6th and May 7th. New moon, best evening to see Mercury. So you can really understand what's going on here. And June 10th marks the solar eclipse. So the moon will be in front of the sun during that time, because solar, S for small. So the small is in front of the large. So the moon is in front of the sun, I think.
That's usually what a solar eclipse is. I believe I remember creating the little box with the pinhole in at the school so that you could watch the sun get covered in like a tiny little cereal box. It was a single portion cereal box. I'm not sure really how effective those things were at the time, because it was a complete solar eclipse, which was quite impressive. I distinctly remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, I love this app.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love this app because it has that calendar in. And, you know, one of the things I often realize with the stars is I find out about these things after they've happened. And there's nothing worse than realizing that, oh, hey, I missed a really cool thing and now I've got to wait a year. And then you forget because it's a year later. So having that calendar pop in there is perfect.
Absolutely. It also has some featured stories, including talking about Ingenuity's first flight, for example, some news, Europe's astronaut drive. So you get news about space as much. You can search for constellations, for stars, for the solar system items, for comets. With Deep Sky, it says, enjoy seamless detail in thousands of galaxies, nebulae, and clusters. Look for objects marked with a zoom. So that's where they've got kind of digital representations of other galaxies and nebulae. You can look for satellites and meteor showers as well. So there's Starlink, there's interplanetary satellites, amateur radio satellites, and some of the brightest satellites. So I tapped on one of the satellites and there's a little arrow pointing me to where I would need to look. So I'm bringing my phone around. I actually have to turn it behind me to get to it. And there it is. So it's going to be right over the constellation Vela. That's where it is right now, which is very cool. And then it is actually moving in its path. And so I could follow it along. I don't know which way it's going. I should have. It could be.
I think it's going along towards the darker section.
That makes sense. Yeah. So that is really cool that you can see these different satellites, because it was arranged by what is brightest, and you can change that if you want it by alphabetical, by when it passes. And of course, brightness, the International Space Station is. So if you are a person who's got a telescope, then you can look out and see that as well. And then, of course, there are settings which let you turn on or off constellation lines, mythology, ecliptic structures, the celestial equator, the horizon, which I was talking about before, labels for everything, and then all the way down to night vision, which makes it easier for you to see at night and not have your eyes kind of be blasted so that you can't see the actual constellations in the sky. So that is Sky Guide. Now we'll talk about Night Sky. Sky Guide, by the way, is $2.99 to purchase. There is an in-app purchase to activate like the super zoom features and things like that, but you really can get the basics without having to spend a bunch of money. Here, what I love about Night Sky is that it is so incredibly detailed. There's so much information. I think Sky Guide is a great app to kind of kick things off. But if you really want to get all the detail you possibly can, Night Sky is kind of the step up. So in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see there's a little percentage there, and it says 64%. That is referencing the light pollution where I am in Petaluma. So it will actually use that to let you know, what's the best place to be able to see what's going on and not kind of have that massive light pollution where you are. And so there's an observatory nearby that they point to, which has better light pollution. And you can see these sort of lighter blue colors where it's lower. There's Bodega Bay. And if you're on one of those beaches, then the light pollution is lower than it is here in Petaluma proper. So that's why it was really a lot easier to see what was going on up in the sky. Then you can see here it's got the conditions for stargazing, what time it would be best to stargaze if you choose to stargaze, news and events, a space exploration timeline, which talks about like what happened near this time, and kind of the timeline of events for space exploration, and all the different points that have taken place since that day. There's some really cool astrophotography stuff so that you can take photos that actually look good of stars. And so it will let you, and of course, I don't have any stars in front of me, but this will let you take proper photographs of the sky. So let me back out of that. Maybe there we go. There's a quiz inside, so if you want to, kind of challenge your knowledge of space, you can do that. Earth Live satellites, so that you can look around and see. There's a Starlink satellite here, and it's doing this. Look at all those Starlink satellites. My God, I guess I didn't realize there were so many. Tap on it and see. I thought, yeah. And then tours, including, a tour of what different places look like. The AR Grand Orrery, which is a really cool augmented reality system where you can go through and look at different things. The Aurora Forecast, which lets you know when the Aurora Borealis is best on display. And then also mindfulness within Night Sky, so you can kind of listen to some music and sort of zone out or space out, if you will. And then we'll pop out of that so that I can just show you the main screen here, which has, I'll tap on the compass, and now I can see there's the horizon line. And as I go up, I can start to see the different constellations. We'll find Draco again, which if I remember correctly was over here somewhere. Draco. And then I can
that
zoom
looks like a dragon.
Whoops. And I should be able to, I can tap on one of those stars, learn more about it as part of there we go, Eltanin directions, see the constellation it's a part of, all of this information, spectral type, UV color index, BV color index, radial velocity, proper motion. None of this means anything to me, but the folks who are super into astronomy are going to get a kick out of all of this information. And then again, as I said, it does have AR features so that you can point it at the sky and see. And I think the thing that I like too about Night Sky over Sky Guide is the kind of level of detail that you get from the depictions that are available in night sky. It's just, oh, look, there's Saturn, Jupiter. As we look around, we can see those different things. There's a very bright star, Difta, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is Night Sky, which is available for free with an in-app purchase. It's like I think $4.99 a month to get the top features out of it, but it works without you needing to spend that extra money to let you see so many different things within the app. It's very cool. I think they're both really awesome. And if you've got any area around you that is not super, super light polluted, take this with you and go learn about the stars. All righty, folks. That brings us to the end of the app segment, and that means it's time to take a break, folks. Take a break. And we're going to be taking a break with Headspace, a very cool app, very cool service that are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. You probably have tried meditation before and it didn't work, right? Yeah, I know. I'm one of those people too. Or maybe you felt like you were doing it wrong, perhaps. If mental health is part of your self-care plan this year, you owe it to yourself to try Headspace. What's Headspace? Well, it is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So whatever the situation, Headspace really can actually help you feel better. If you're overwhelmed, well, Headspace has a 3-minute SOS meditation for you. If you need some help falling asleep, well, Headspace has wind down sessions their members swear by. It is an incredible app for sort of finding peace in your day. For parents, Headspace even has morning meditations you can do with your kids. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. And for a mood-boosting workout, check out Headspace Move. Just 30 days of Headspace. I love that they've got this percentage. 30 days of Headspace lowers stress by 32%. And just 4 sessions can reduce burnout by 14%. I don't know about you, but anybody who's living through this pandemic has at least had a brush with burnout. And if there's some way to help you get through that, then I think that that's fantastic. There are lots of different exercises that Headspace includes, but I think one of my favorite things that's part of the app is the sleep portion of the app. There are all of these little things that help you fall asleep. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you're having trouble getting back to sleep, there's one for falling back to sleep. There's a sleep cast called Rain Day Antiques, which is a 45-minute sleep cast. The idea is that you listen to this podcast and it's not so incredibly interesting that you feel like you need to stay awake and hear the whole thing. You can kind of fall asleep while listening to it. Mental chatter. So that is, they call that a nighttime SOS, meaning that I am having so much trouble falling asleep because of my mental chatter. Please help me figure this out. And the nighttime SOS can help you with that. It's just 10 minutes. So sleep casts are ever-changing storytelling in a range of soothing voices. Wind downs are meditation and breathing to prepare the mind for sleep. Nighttime SOS is guided exercises for waking up in the night. Sleep music, one of my favorite categories. That, of course, will help you drift off to sleep with some very soothing sounds. And then some soundscapes as well. So if you are, just want to hear birds chirping or thunderstorms or things like that, if they help you fall asleep, then it will help you with that. Headspace is backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, 600,000 5-star reviews, and get this, more than 60 million downloads. More than 60 million downloads. My God. Headspace makes it easy for you to build a life-changing meditation practice with mindfulness that works for you on your schedule, anytime, anywhere. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/iOS today. That's headspace.com/iOS today for a free 1-month trial. That's so long. That's awesome. You get a month to give this a go with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal that's offered right now. So you are really getting the best deal possible. Just go to headspace.com/iOS today to check it out. Thanks so much to Headspace for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today and for helping me find sleep when things are loud up in this headspace. We appreciate it. All righty. There was an Apple event. It took place on Tuesday, and it was called the Spring Loaded event. And we now know that loaded was because it was a loaded event. There was so much announced. My God. And there are some things that folks were very pumped about. I have a feeling you like the color purple, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's kind of my favorite color, like ever. And so Apple released a purple iPhone. Of course, I already own an iPhone. I own an iPhone 12 Pro Max. And unfortunately, there is no purple iPhone 12 Pro in either size. So I would have to go to a regular iPhone 12 or an iPhone 12 mini to get that purple. But that purple is pretty nice. It's kind of a lavendery, lilac-y sort of color. It's not super bright, but it is really pretty. And it rounds out that color lineup on the 12s, which I think is quite nice. And it conveniently helps them match. I think it pretty much matches the purple, the new iMac, though we're probably not going to talk about that iMac today because we've got so many iOS things to talk about. But it's nice. I love it. And I feel they should always have purple. Hopefully next year's Pro iPhone is purple.
Yeah, because they've done green. So they covered my color. They've done blue this year, which a lot of folks like blue. So I could totally see a purple for the iPhone 13 or whatever the next one's going to be for the Pro line. We'll see. But it was interesting to have them announce a new color later on. They've in the past, product red was sometimes announced later in the lineup and added to the rest of the colors. So I get why that happened. But yeah, I was really fascinated that, that was one of the things that they talked about at this event. But I guess if you have not gotten your phone yet and you're not after the Pro model and purple is one of your favorite colors, then this is the way to go. And that idea that you said about how it kind of will look really good with that purple iMac kind of all comes together.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I have to say, I might be getting an iMac, Micah. Let's see what happens on pre-order day. Let's see how bad it is.
Oh, man. The next thing that was announced was something that we had expected sometime this year, but I wasn't sure if Apple was going to announce it at this event. And so I was a little surprised when they revealed AirTag, which is the singular for the device that we have all been referring to as AirTags, because we always saw them as kind of multiple pieces. It is Apple's item tracking tag, and the early render we saw that was part of a leak looks a lot like this tag actually looks. AirTag looks a lot like the early rumors suggested. It is a Bluetooth-enabled device with an ultra-wideband chip in it that allows you to find your device in a space. So Bluetooth LE is kind of the main method of communication. It will, send out a pulse and let you find the item. But then as you get closer, UWB kicks in and your phone will point you to where your device is located somewhere in your space, and you'll be able to find it. It also plays sound, and it comes in a range. It comes with I shouldn't say it comes with, because it does not come with. There are a range of accessories available for the AirTag that you can use to clip it to things and hang it on things. I this morning woke up at a stupid time to purchase. Is it 3 or 4 that you get for $99.99?
It's four. So you can buy
So I
one
purchased a
individual
4-pack.
AirTag for $29 or pounds, or I believe euros as well. Or you can buy four for 99. So I also got a 4-pack. Actually, I got two 4-packs because it's both of my parents' birthdays within a couple of days of each other next month, and they've been saying for a while now that they're not super happy with their tiles. They can't always find things with their tiles, and so I thought, okay, AirTags for your birthdays it is. So hopefully they'll like this.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, Rosemary, you went the extra mile, as you so often do, by letting us kind of get an early idea of how AirTag will look. Yes, folks, she set her 3D printer to task, creating an AirTag puck in a nice lavender purple.
Yes. Well, I didn't want to print it in white in case people thought I have an actual AirTag, but I wanted to print this because, so actually this is a model I found on Thingiverse. And as the creator said, he's not had an actual AirTag in his hand so far. So he doesn't know how accurate this is. This is based on the dimensions posted on Apple's website. But it does allow me to do this. So I've got a regular Tile Pro here. And if I hold this in front of the Tile Pro, then you can see it's quite a bit smaller. Which is interesting because if I pop open my Tile Pro right here and that it's not cooperating, the battery inside of it is pretty small. And so, if I then hold, I'll swap hands here. If I then hold the AirTag next to it, then you really do see the size. And this is the battery that's the same battery that's compatible with the AirTag, because AirTag uses replaceable batteries, CR2032s, which, I kind of was expecting that they weren't. The original Tile, if anybody remembers, they were a one-time use device. Once the battery died, that was it. And so people were hacking them and taking them apart and all of that. And now we have these, and they will be replaceable. So for scale, for people who don't necessarily have a Tile Pro, I also have my AirPods here and a flying piece of plastic. So that's a comparison. I took the case off of my AirPods because it's also lavender.
So it would blend in.
Yeah, it blends in pretty well, actually. If I do this, I'm pretty pleased with this filament I picked up, actually, for my 3D printer. It does this.
Yeah,
but
it's a pretty high quality.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. If you pop onto Amazon at the moment, there are a bunch of companies selling cases for AirTags or hangers.
That looks exactly like the one that Apple sells. So this is a third-party one. This was about £9. It came yesterday with Amazon next day delivery. And it does look almost exactly like the one Apple sells. So the idea with this is it's a little loopy one that you pop on your bag. So you just sort of, to start with, there's a popper at the bottom. You slide your AirTag into that, and you popper it closed. And then you loop this around the handle of something. So let's pretend my finger is a handle here. And then you just sort of slide the AirTag through that slot right there. And then it's going to stay on there, and it's not going to go anywhere that quickly, which is nice. And so I'm quite pleased to see that AirTags have been rumored so much that there are alternatives to the Apple stuff already. Yes,
I will say alternatives are varying quality. So I picked up this little gem, and this was about see it $5. It's kind of janky. It's silicone-y. The sample AirTag that I printed squeezes in here. It's certainly not going to come out. So if you just want to put it in something to protect it, I know some reviewers have been saying that these scratch pretty easily. That you're probably going to want to put it in something to keep it safe, especially if you get one of those nice emoji engravings. And of course, now I'm struggling to get my AirTag out of the silicone case because it's pretty tight. And the carabiner it came with, I have to say, is pretty janky there. So maybe don't get the absolute cheapest one. But what's really good to see is companies like Spigen. And Spigen, they make lots of cases for devices. They don't just make cases for Apple devices, but they have made, this is the Spigen Valentinus. And so this is a leather loop. And then it's not a keyring. It's one of these sort of folding rings. I've forgotten precisely what this is called, but that's the sort of thing I would actually prefer to put my keys on. So I'm actually going to move my keys over to this once my AirTag arrives, because, that's going to keep everything on there. And I'm going to have a nice AirTag to keep it company. So, there's plenty of holders out there, not just the ones Apple sell, not just the ones Apple are allowing onto the Apple Store. I know Belkin have made some, which are for sale. There's also MS tags. If you would like to spend more than 10 times the cost of an AirTag on a case for your AirTag, you can do it with MS. I'm not sure how many people are actually going to go for an MS tag. How about you, Micah? Are you splashing your credit card out there?
Heavens no. I ordered the 4-pack. I did not get any engravings on them. I ordered the AirTag loop from Apple in navy. All of these are supposed to arrive on April 30th, so next Friday. I was just on the site to see about if shipping dates have changed, because I thought this is such a small product. One would think they'd be able to, a small and like, there are no screens. There's nothing that you have to make a bunch of them. And some of them are, some of them don't work and you have to keep, I can't think of what that's called, but like in the process, especially with screens, there are always some units that are bad that they have to just throw out. Yeah. And with these, there's not as much to them. So one would think that they could keep up with demand, but, the 4-pack without engraving is already shipping date has slipped to May 3rd to May 5th. And the 1-pack without engraving has also slipped to May 3rd to May 5th. Although I could pick them up at the Apple store that's near me. I say near me because it's in Santa Rosa, which is not, it's not in the town. But anyway, so on April 30th, I'll get the AirTag loop in deep navy, which is looks a lot like the one that you have, that you picked up. And then I also ordered, Belkin announced some AirTag loops. So I ordered 2 of the Belkin secure holder with strap. Because I liked how this looked. I got them both in just the black.
Okay, you got the strap one. Okay, I was gonna say, Micah, we are scarily in sync here. But I ordered 2. I actually ordered 3 of the keychain ones. 2 of them are for my parents. One's for me, and then I got the Apple loop as well. Because these look pretty nice. A pretty nice way to get things on there. And to start with, I was a little bit concerned that all of this extra stuff on an AirTag, that's going to make it quite big. And then once I 3D printed my mock-up and I compared it with my Tile Pro, I was looking at it going, actually, I'm totally okay putting a case on that and making it a bit bigger. I think we're going to see a lot of things. I know D brands are selling skins for this stuff already. Obviously, I live in the UK. There was no way they were going to get that shipped to me in time for the show today. It's interesting to see how many accessories are already available and how many companies appear to have seriously estimated the exact dimensions of this device pretty well. Obviously, as I said, this is a mock-up based on the information on the Apple website. I was not fortunate enough to have Apple send me an actual test device. Let's see. Mine arrive next week too, Micah. So hopefully we can show them off on the show.
Yes, that would be really fun if they arrive in time for the show.
Well, mine should. I'm in the UK. I'm ahead of you here.
Oh, that's
so
right. Yeah,
I've got all day for
later.
my AirTags to arrive.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for you, because I think mine probably won't arrive until later.
Aww.
It's okay. It's okay. I can handle it. I'll get to see how yours work and everything. So that's fine. Let's move on to talk about the new iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Apple announced a new iPad Pro that has, the last time they announced an iPad Pro update, there wasn't a whole lot that changed about it. It got a new chip that turned out to kind of be the same chip that was there before, but with another core unlocked. It got a new camera system that included the LiDAR detector, the LiDAR sensor built in. But this time, we've gotten some kind of pretty great performance boosts and screen quality boosts, so to speak. And then of course the biggest performance boost is the M1 chip being included in the iPad Pro, both the 11-inch model and the 12.9-inch model. Rosemary, are you planning on getting a new iPad? And tell me what you think about the new ones.
So I originally I was there going, like I'm still running. I'm not even running the most recent 11-inch iPad Pro. I'm running the older one because they did just unlock that extra core. There was better camera. There wasn't a huge amount there, and I was thinking, this 11-inch iPad Pro is so powerful. What could I possibly need the next one for? But over the last, especially the last year, with the pandemic, my life has changed sufficiently enough that I said, I'd really like a 12.9 inch, especially if it's got an M1 chip in it, because I don't know. I'm guessing here, this is purely my guesswork, that at WWDC this year, we're going to see like some of the Apple Pro apps like Final Cut Pro and things like that become available on the iPad. And the fact that it's got the exact same chip in it, and not just the exact same chip, but the exact same chip with the exact same name as what they put in their current, fancy line of shipping Macs. That's amazing. So I think they're going to take advantage of that. And then, of course, if you get the 12.9 inch iPad Pro, it's increasing in size by 0.5 millimeter, which we'll get to in a second. That's actually a little bit problematic if you're just upgrading. But it's got a mini LED screen, and that's just going to be bonkers because the screen on the iPad Pro is already awesome. But a mini LED screen is just going to be absolutely insane.
I am so pumped about, so it's weird. I have always used the 11-inch iPad Pro, and I love the 11-inch iPad Pro. I've, since the beginning of the iPad Pro, that's the one I've always gone with. I, at one point, had a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and I, at the time, had come to San Francisco. This was before I lived in California. I had come to San Francisco for Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, and with at the time, I was working for Mobile Nation's iMore site, and I came there to cover the event and all that kind of stuff, and was excited to be there, and then went to one of the bashes, one of the parties that take place while you're there. And while I was there, someone who had access to the backstage of the event, it like had access to the green room, stole my iPad Pro and my 12.9 inch iPad Pro, and I was able to use Find My iPhone. It was called Find My iPhone at the time still. Find My iPhone to find the iPad, and it was just like booking it way away from the event somewhere. I had insurance and stuff like that, so I ended up getting it replaced, no problem. But ever since that point, like that gave me I remember that day, I had trouble the same night, like touching my backpack because someone who I didn't know had rifled through it and had stolen something from me. It felt so violating. And so I had some icky feelings almost about that 12.9 inch iPad Pro. But then you come along with a liquid retina display with XDR, which for folks out there who don't know, Apple announced a very high level, very color accurate, very bright, very powerful display called the Pro Display XDR, which is a ridiculously expensive display that they paired with the Mac Pro. And with that, one would expect that, that you wouldn't get that kind of XDR technology in anything else. And then it comes to the 12.9 inch iPad Pro, along with 16 gigabytes of RAM if you get one of the higher storage options. So I think for the first time in a trillion years, I'm going to be getting a 12.9 inch iPad Pro, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. You see so Anthony's currently scrolling through, and there it says there are more than 2,500 local dimming zones on this iPad Pro. Dimming zones are these areas of LEDs that make adjustments depending on what the content is on the screen. So it will, dim the darker parts and bring brightness to the brighter parts of the screen, which gives it a contrast ratio of 1,000,000 to 1. Here's what's really wild about that. So that means that HDR content is going to look just the absolute most incredible it possibly can with current display technology. Here's what's wild about that, though. And I've got to find now. The other day, Stephen Hackett of Relay FM fame tweeted, the $5,000 Pro Display XDR has 576 local dimming zones. The new 12.9-inch iPad Pro has 2,500. So the more expensive Pro Display XDR has 576 dimming zones. This iPad has 2,500. And again, this is the mini LED is not in the Pro Display XDR. It is just in this Liquid Retina XDR display. So mini LED is like a next level technology that's going to completely change things. And I'm looking forward to getting my eyes on it.
And just to be clear for people, this is only in the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Unfortunately, it's not in the 11-inch iPad Pro. But that does mean if you're upgrading your 11-inch iPad Pro and maybe you skipped generation, but you did get the Magic Keyboard, then the Magic Keyboard for the 11-inch still works. However, that really lovely fancy display has increased the thickness of the 12.9-inch iPad Pro by 0.5 millimeters. That is like the thickness of a piece of paper. Unfortunately, that means that the Magic Keyboard and the Smart Keyboard Folio for the current 12.9-inch iPad Pro that's out does not fit the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro, which means we need to buy new Magic Keyboards and so on. The Apple Pencil still works exactly the same way. But if you spent the money, the $349 or whatever got it on sale on the Magic Keyboard, and you've got a 12.9-inch, you do need to get a new 12.9-inch keyboard. And of course, you're going to want to watch out if you're buying this on Amazon. Then you're going to want to watch out that you don't get an older one that doesn't actually fit. And just to explain to people why this is important, I have my 11-inch iPad Pro here. You can see that it's the old one because I've got the camera cut out. But it's in the Magic Keyboard. And I'm going to try and hold this up parallel with the camera. There is zero tolerance here. There's no room for error at all. So when I close this, there is no space here at all for an extra 0.5 millimeter of space, which is why it will actually basically crush your screen and possibly damage your iPad, or it'll damage the Magic Keyboard. Either way, both of these are expensive devices. You don't want to damage either of them. So if you're looking to get a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, make sure to grab the new Magic Keyboard with it as well.
It comes in white now.
Yeah, and the Magic Keyboard comes in white. Mike, are you going to get white? I'm thinking I'm going to look at it and it's going to be dirty. There's going to be chocolate fingerprints all over it.
Yeah, there's no way I would actually get the white, but I think it's fascinating that they did release a white one. No, I will continue with the black Magic Keyboard
I can imagine it's the kind of thing I'm going to see in a couple of years, like as I'm walking through first class on the plane on my way back to the back of economy near the toilets, because that's the seats I can afford. I'm just going to see executives there with their dingy, formerly white keyboards on their iPad Pros. I'm just going to look at it and go, antibacterial wipes everywhere. But yeah, so I'll be getting the black keyboard with this. And I think it's going to be really interesting how many people are more likely to get the 12.9-inch now, that it's got this fabulous screen in it. And if maybe we'll see that screen come to the 11-inch next time, I'm sure there's a good reason why they didn't put it in there this time. But the other thing we've yet to talk about, Micah, is RAM. RAM in an iPad. Now, the current iPads have crazy amounts of RAM. I believe it's 6 gigabytes if you buy a 1 terabyte iPad. But if you're looking at the new iPads, they come with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Or if you buy a 1 or a 2 terabyte iPad Pro, because the iPad Pro now comes with 2 terabytes of storage space. Yes, terabytes. You get 16 gigabytes of RAM. This is the same amount of RAM and storage space, to be clear, as sitting in the M1 Mac Mini that I'm about to return to Apple in front of me. Like, literally, they are almost exactly the same machine. It's just in a different form factor. This literally is blowing my mind. Like, what are the possibilities going to be? What is Apple going to bring to us at WWDC this year? I'm like a little kid waiting for Christmas. I'm there going, what is Craig Federighi going to bring me? Come on, Air Force One. I want all those software features now to take advantage of this great new hardware.
Yes. I know we're both quite pumped about the new iPad Pro. I'm looking forward to giving it a go. I'll be up early next Friday to place an order for the iPad Pro. And we'll be looking forward to that. So let's talk about the new Apple TV, which includes a new Apple TV remote called the Siri Remote, and features a Thread radio in the Apple TV. This is the kind of main thing with this new Apple TV 4K is that it supports high frame rate HDR content, and also Wi-Fi 6 to sort of be the best connectivity it possibly can have with the Apple TV content that you have. Ordering it starts, or you could do pre-orders on April 30th, and it will be available the second half of May.
Yeah, so this new iPad, this new Apple TV, this new iPad. Clearly, I've got iPads on the brain here. But this new Apple TV is certainly interesting. I don't know about you, Micah. I'm not going to upgrade. I don't play games on my Apple TV all that much. And I have a 4K Apple TV right now, and I don't have a 4K television. So I certainly don't need to upgrade to get 4K content when my screen literally just doesn't support it. It seems very much like they're targeting people who are playing Apple Arcade games, which is why it's interesting that this new Siri Remote does not have a gyroscope in it. Somebody
Say that again.
The new Apple TV remote does not have a gyroscope. So the current Apple
TV remote. And let me ask you, Rosemary, does the former Apple TV remote have a gyroscope in it?
Yes, the black Apple TV remote with the piece of glass where you can never tell which way up the darn thing is unless you put a sticker on the back has a gyroscope. And Apple previously said if you're making games for the Apple TV, you needed to support this. There are now games that can be played, or games that you literally can't play on the Apple TV with the new Apple TV remote. So I think somewhere, somebody should have made perhaps a communication decision slightly earlier on here so that we wouldn't be left with developers going, my game literally can't be played out of the box on the new console. Because it is basically a console if you're looking at it to play games on. So there's no gyroscope in this new Apple TV remote, but the new Siri Remote does work with the older Apple TVs. So if I wanted to just buy that, it's $59, and it's larger, and the Siri button is on the side. And I'm thinking I'm going to pick one of those up, actually, Micah. What about you?
Absolutely. I'm actually... let me kind of back up a second just to explain. The HomePod Mini was announced and shipped, and within the HomePod Mini was a Thread radio. If you watch Smart Tech Today, you're already well aware of Thread from hearing us talk about it a lot, but I'll quickly kind of briefly talk about it. Thread is a protocol for devices to communicate with one another and to kind of be connected for smart home devices to be connected to one another and to communicate and to create kind of a network in your home. So traditionally, you would have kind of three types of devices. You would have Wi-Fi connected devices, Bluetooth connected devices, and then devices that used a bridge that had like Zigbee or Z-Wave on it to communicate with them to do these connections. Now, with Wi-Fi connected devices, of course, say I have a light bulb that has a Wi-Fi chip in it, I would give that light bulb my Wi-Fi password, and it would just use my wireless router to be able to be addressed. So I could say, turn on and off the lights. That the app would send that command to the router, which would send it to the bulb. Say I had a bulb that's Bluetooth LE. So it's somewhere in my house, and I've paired it essentially through HomeKit over Bluetooth. And so it would use my Apple TV that has Bluetooth, or an iPad that's set up as a home hub, or a HomePod, or my phone itself, where I would say, turn on the light, and it would issue that command over Bluetooth to the device and then turn on the light. Then the third option, which is Zigbee or Z-Wave over a bridge. So for example, Philips Hue lights. So I've got a Philips Hue bulb, and it is communicating with a bridge that is connected to my router. So I, on my phone, tap, turn on the light. My phone over Wi-Fi tells the router, hey, he wants to turn on a light, which then sends that command to the bridge that is connected to my router. That bridge sends out a Zigbee, which is a different thing from Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, a Zigbee message to the bulb directly and says, hey, he wants to turn on that light, and the light comes on. Tapping it again, of course, will turn it off. Thread is like Zigbee and Z-Wave in that it is a separate protocol. It is a separate communications type from Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So it's not Wi-Fi, it's not Bluetooth, it's not Zigbee, it's not Z-Wave. It is its own protocol. And it is the most robust smart home connectivity system that I have ever used. I've got multiple Thread devices in my home at this point, and I am so impressed. And that is because Thread goes farther than just, like I said, with the Philips Hue bulb. When I send the signal from my app, it goes to the router, goes to the bridge, and then tells the light what it needs to do. And that is how it has to happen. So the light that's in my living room, the light that's in my kitchen, the lights that's here, the light that's there, it all goes from my phone to the router to the bridge, and then does that communication. With Thread, on top of each individual, on top of being able to communicate with that, each of these devices that are in your home also can talk to each other. So you can start to visualize kind of a web of devices that all are able to communicate with each other. And so for the first time ever in smart home for the consumer, you have a situation where adding devices to your home actually improves the performance of your network versus degrading the performance. Because the more devices you have, the more communication nodes you have, and the better the latency and the better the robustness of that web you've created are. So Thread, all of that's to say, Thread is an incredible system. It is the future of the smart home, and I am 100% bullish on Thread. And the HomePod Mini was the first device that Apple introduced that had a Thread radio inside, meaning that you could use HomeKit over Thread devices as part of your smart home. And what's cool is that it just works. Whenever you set up a Thread device with the Home app, it will automatically know we're communicating over Thread and use that as the way to communicate. So now folks aren't required to buy a HomePod Mini in order to add Thread to their home. There are two options. You can add Thread via HomePod and Thread via Apple TV. So I'm planning on getting replacing, because I do have a 4K HDR television in my living room, Dolby Vision or whatever. It's got all the silly stuff. And I'm planning on replacing the Apple TV 4K in my living room with the new Apple TV at some point. I don't know if I'm going to do it right away, but certainly part of that is like, even if I don't do it right away, I will get at least one Siri remote, because I have one of the new Siri remotes, because I have 3 Apple TVs. They're not all connected to televisions, but and they all have the stupid Siri remote of years past. So yes, regardless of anything, the Siri remote will be replaced with the new Siri remote that is looks to be so much better than the current model.
Yeah, I think this is also really interesting timing with Apple talking about the Siri Remote and the fact that, you know, it controls your other devices as well. Of course, the Apple TV remote, the previous Siri Remote, did control some things via HDMI CEC. But Logitech recently announced, for want of a better word, the death of the Harmony line, which was their unified remote system. I have a Logitech Harmony in my living room, and that's how I turn my TV on. It unfortunately can't turn on my Nintendo Switch, but it does turn on my ancient Nintendo Wii if I switch to that activity. So I think it's interesting that Apple have clearly listened to the fact that people don't want to be juggling multiple different physical devices in their hands, so they've added buttons. Apple doesn't usually add buttons. Apple takes them away, and in this case they've gone completely the opposite direction. But I am sure when you pick this Apple TV remote up in your hand, the Siri Remote, you're going to immediately know which way around it belongs so that you can flip it if you've got it the wrong way around. This is bigger. It's heavier than the old one, but it doesn't have a U1 chip in it for an AirTag, which I kind of feel is a lost opportunity, especially considering the advert that they had inside of the keynote where the guy lost his keys in the couch. I never lose my keys in the couch, Micah. I that's never happened to me ever. But the Apple TV remote,
yes,
that thing lives in my couch. It's got like a magnetic attraction to the sofa bed underneath my couch cushions. Like, I don't know how it gets in there. It wedges itself in one of the slats like every single time. I don't know how.
I'm waiting for Ilago to come out with a silicone case that has like a little pouch in it where you just stick the new
AirTag
into it. Yeah, thank you. The AirTag into it because I really do feel like this is a big oversight. I don't understand why they didn't include that. I really don't. Yeah. I don't get it. It's really disappointed me.
Yeah, me too. And honestly, even if Ilago don't come out with one, I mean, I own a 3D printer, so maybe I can find, some kind of rubbery material that I can print.
Oh my goodness. But, I will pay shipping.
Well, the other option I was going to say is something like a craft knife and just cut a hole in whatever one there is and just
in the case, not in the actual.
Yeah, in the case. Yeah, not in the remote. No, in like a silicone case and stick that in there. A little bit of hot glue or something. You got to make sure that you can replace that battery because don't forget the AirTag has a battery that's only going to last a year, so you're going to need to replace it. And that's the other thing that the Siri Remote charges. I believe still via Lightning, which is nice. And people have made stands for the previous Siri Remote with little Lightning docks on them. And so hopefully that will continue. But, having a rechargeable AirTag in the Apple Remote would have been great. And they seem to
all they had to do was put a UWB chip in it. That's all they had. They didn't even have to necessarily make it an AirTag.
I do wonder how well that might work with the aluminum casing that they've got on there. Maybe they tried it and it just wasn't accurate enough. And therefore they gave up on it because actually UWB isn't available in some countries either. And that way they possibly would have to only ship the old Siri Remote to those countries. And there's a whole thing with that as well, which is a little bit complicated. So
that's
it's got the original click wheel iPod controls. So I've missed those. I'm glad to have them back.
Maybe later on they'll come out with a model that has, it's kind of like how they have the non-wireless charging case and the wireless charging case. Maybe they'll have a Siri Remote with tracking and AirTag tracking or Find My tracking, whatever they want to call it, and one that doesn't. Because, I don't know. I just feel like folks have been talking about that. Oh, it'd be really great if the remote could, if we could find my remote. I can't find my remote. If I get this, I'm going to. For now, I guess I'll just have to, because I already keep a lanyard on my, this Apple TV remote doesn't currently have it because this one, it sits on my desk, so I don't really need to. But the one that's in my living room has that leather loop that they sell for way too much money. It's like $15 for this little thing. And it's got these little teeth on the side. So it clicks in where the lightning port is and it holds. So I think what I'll do is probably just put an AirTag on that loop. So then it can keep it tracked. But
yeah. I mean, people are making, I believe it's Nomad. I'm not 100% sure. They're making a lanyard for your sunglasses, which has got like an AirTag pouch in the back. I'm sure somebody's going to come up with something for the Apple TV remote. There's some stick-on cases for AirTags as well, which seems a pretty smart way of doing it. So,
keychain and
where there's a will, there's a way.
AirTags.
We'll solve the problem.
Exactly. And some, I kind of like the way that Nomad's doing their thing is some of them kind of show the AirTag around the outside, but then they've got ones where the AirTag is kind of completely obscured. So it kind of slides into this little pouch that keeps it covered, which I think is good because that way I'm less apt to lose it. And it also is kind of a heft in my hand, which I would enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah, there's Anthony showing it to you so you can see. I do wonder how one... with they have the leather loop for AirTag, and I don't understand how. 3M adhesive. Okay, I was curious how they actually pulled that off, where it would stay, but it uses 3M adhesive to grasp on. See, I don't like that, because what happens if it accidentally falls out?
Yeah. I mean, 3M adhesive, there's a whole bunch of different ranges. So I have the hue gradient strip stuck on the back of my television, and the 3M adhesive that sticks there on the back of and so they ship it with some some guides to help you stick the gradient strip on. So I've got one of those on, and people are saying like you can't get that off. The trick, by the way, if you ever have something like that and you need to get it off, you've stuck something to your Apple TV remote using 3M glue or something, is dental floss. So using dental floss, you can just sort of slide it through, and you can cut through whatever that is. So some 3M adhesive is pretty much permanent unless you slice through it. Other stuff is not as sticky. It very much depends. The sort of picture things that you can put on the wall and pull off without marking them, they are not going to be as strong as something like the things that ship with the hue gradient strip, because that's going on the back of a TV, which gets quite warm, holding a light, which gets quite warm. So you're going to want to watch out for which one that is. But that said, Nomad are a very good brand, so I'm sure they've picked the right one there.
Okay, gotcha. That's good to know, because that would have made me worried. But I really like Nomad's devices or products. I think that, in fact, I've got one of their stands right here on my desk. It's a wireless charging stand from Nomad. Beautiful leather. All right, let us talk about the iOS 14.6 beta that has a sharing audio feature.
Yeah. So Apple have not released iOS 14.5 yet. So if you're waiting for that to come, it's going to be out pretty darn soon. But they have already shipped to developers iOS 14.6, and that comes with a feature for sharing audio. So I've still got my Today's Walk app here open for my 10, and so I'm just going to pick some music. I had something playing. As you can see, I've got my right AirPod, and I've put it in my hand, and I'm holding it weirdly to make sure that it thinks it's on. But there's a button here for share audio, and this is new. So you can see my AirPods Max are around. I'm not going to grab those. I've actually got my other AirPods here. But if you tap share audio, it will actually try and share the audio with that. And now you can see I've got my AirPods Max, my AirPods Pro, and my AirPods connected. Yes, I have all the AirPods. And I can actually play to multiple sets of AirPods at the same time, or other headphones. And when I first did this, it came up and it said, what devices would you like to connect to this, and so on. And now my AirPods Max have gone away. But now if I hit play, it's going to play to both my AirPods, which are still in the case, by the way, and the AirPod Pro in my hand. And then if I let go of the AirPod Pro, then it should actually pause. And if I close my AirPods as well, there we go. So that's officially paused there, because everything's disconnected now. But I find that absolutely amazing. The fact that we have this. Previously, people were doing workarounds with sort of USB-C plug-in devices and so on. I know 12 South have got the AirFly and the AirFly Duo and things like that, where you can plug a thing into your phone to do that. But if you've got AirPods, or I'm guessing this works with Beats headphones as well. I don't have any Beats headphones to test, I'm afraid. But I'm guessing that's those U1 chip devices, right, Micah?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very cool. All right. We will take a quick break before we come back with Shortcuts Corner and feedback. I'm excited to tell you about Amazon Pharmacy, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. At a time when staying at home is the best thing for everyone, why not make it easier for yourself? Amazon Pharmacy saves you time. It easily works with your doctor, and it delivers medication right to your door. You can get the meds you need without leaving the house, which is so nice. That means one less errand and more safety for you. Here is why Amazon Pharmacy is pretty doggone amazing. First of all, it saves you time. Amazon Pharmacy delivers your medication directly to your door, so there's no more waiting in line at the pharmacy. It's very easy to use. You can have your doctor's office send your next prescription straight to Amazon Pharmacy. They'll go ahead and coordinate with your doctor to ensure that everything is accurate and you're getting what you need. You can use your insurance. So Amazon Pharmacy is going to work with most insurance plans nationwide. And Amazon Prime members get free 2-day delivery. And they also save on prescription medication when paying without insurance. One of the things that's really nice about Amazon Pharmacy that you don't get from traditional pharmacies is that the pricing is clear and understandable. Most pharmacies can't tell you the price of your medication until you actually fill your prescription. But Amazon Pharmacy shows you your insurance copay and the price without insurance so you can make the right decision. Your medical information is protected. The medical information that you provide to Amazon Pharmacy will never be shared outside of the pharmacy itself. You can always speak with a pharmacist too, which again, can't always find this. They have a pharmacist on staff 24/7, whether you have questions or you just need advice. I have used a pill pack, which is something that was acquired by Amazon Pharmacy, by Amazon. And PillPack is this really great service that lets you get your medicines in kind of an easily organized and easily tracked system. You can get vitamins and prescription medication, stuff like that, that lets you get them in these little rolls of pouches, and you pull out what you need, and it's got, your day medication, your night medication. And so it makes it so easy. It was really nice for travel to make sure I had what I needed to take with me. And then, if you're an Amazon shopper already, just having your prescriptions delivered to your door with the other things that you're getting is really handy. And being able to talk to anybody 24/7. So again, Amazon Prime members can save on prescription medication when not using insurance and get free 2-day delivery. Learn more at, and get this pretty cool URL, amazon.com/iOS. That's amazon.com/iOS. Thanks so much to Amazon Pharmacy for sponsoring this. You just head to amazon.com/iOS to check it out. Thank you. All righty. It's time for Shortcuts Corner.
All right. Well, our question today comes from Tyler, who's actually in Twit Club, which is something I'm sure you're going to find out about if you've not found out about already. And he posted in the Discord, and he was asking me. He said, "I am a broadcast or radio engineer. I do a lot of IT work for businesses. I'm trying to find a way to have the Pushcut server wake me up if an emergency alert would come in. I know there are other tools for this, but I'm wondering if Pushcut can do it." And this is from Tyler. So thank you for asking this, Tyler. Of course, it's always great to actually chat with people. And in this particular case, I actually got to chat backwards and forwards and bounce some ideas around. So for people who don't know, the Pushcut app is something where you would have a spare, ideally dedicated iOS device. I've got an iPod Touch right here running Pushcut. And what this does is it just sits there and it waits until the right time or until it gets a push, and then it runs a shortcut on my behalf. So this means that it does things based on things like Zapier zaps or Integromat scenarios, things like that, but also just regularly at certain times, or when I get to certain places, one phone pings that device and it knows what to do. So Pushcut is a great device to have running in the background, especially if it's something where, you're going to get an email for these things, and you can have, something then ping Pushcut to push that information through to you. So assuming that the ping is already set up so that, Pushcut knows, okay, so I need to do something. Now we need to wake Tyler up. And waking Tyler up, I would suggest there's a couple of options for this. First of all, HomePod Mini or something like that. Just play some music straight to that HomePod in the bedroom. You can set the volume to 100%. You probably don't want to do that unless you want to scrape yourself off the ceiling. So to play around with some different volume levels to see what works best there, which wakes you up. And if you have a partner, of course, Tyler, then you're going to want to make sure that you don't wake that partner up by doing that, unless, of course, they're okay with that. The next option is, of course, lights. Now, Micah, I don't know about you, but I struggle to get up in the mornings if it's dark. And especially if I'm being startled out of bed by a problem, I'm going to be blundering around pretty bleary-eyed and sleepy. So I want my lights to come on automatically. But you had a great app cap a couple of weeks ago called Signals for HomeKit, where you can flash your lights. So I've actually attached this to my snooze button. So whenever I snooze an alarm, the bedside lights by my bed flash their lights. And oh my God, does that make me get up? That is an absolutely amazing trick. And I would suggest that Tyler use Signals for HomeKit to flash a light by his bed, or multiple lights in the bedroom. If there are multiple lights, you flash in different colors, do whatever, pulsing, things like that. Basically, noise and sound are the two things that are going to wake you up and have you actually awake pretty quickly. Now, you could take this a step further. If you have a smart coffee maker of some kind, you could have it immediately start brewing coffee for you, providing it's not going to take too long. I presume if there's an emergency alert, you're going to have to either be out of the door or in front of the computer pretty quickly to deal with that. But I think that's going to be the way to wake you up. Now, of course, for people who aren't aware, the message and email triggers in shortcuts can't run entirely automatically. So you're going to have to find a way of getting that emergency alert in a way that can be run automatically. And that's where Pushcut Server comes in. Because it can run things entirely automatically as soon as it receives a ping from something, which is really, really useful. So thank you, Tyler, for this challenge. I really appreciated you asking me that. And of course, everybody is welcome to send in their feedback for Shortcuts Corner, either via email, via Twitter, or you can do it in Club to It in the Discord as well.
Nice. Let us move on to the feedback segment. Our first question comes from Jose. Hi, Mikah and Rosemary. I live in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and have been a Mac and iPhone user for more than 10 years. Now, I don't have a Mac, and I am not planning to buy a new one soon, but I have my 200 gigabyte Big Sur Photos library in an external hard drive. I would like to access it from my iPhone, and also would like new pictures taken to be added to the same library for future consistency. How can I upload it to iCloud Photos from a Windows 10 laptop? Thanks, Jose. And Rosemary, it looks like you have a guide.
Yeah, so there's actually an Apple guide. We're going to put a link to it in the show notes, which is how you can set up and use iCloud Photos on your Windows PC. Now, the only piece of the puzzle that we don't have here, Jose, is what format that hard drive is in, and whether you've exported the photos from the Photos library or if they're still in that container file. If they're in the container file, you're going to need to do a little bit of digging around. Stuff's not going to have the right kind of name. A container file is essentially like a book, and each of the photos are kind of like a page in that book, but they don't necessarily have the right names. They're whatever index in the thesaurus it thinks it needs to be. So you might have to do a little bit of digging around to do that. But you can set up iCloud Photos on a Windows machine and turn it on and get everything synced up. What I would recommend, probably buy another HDD or buy an external SSD, because you don't want to lose your photos. Always do backups. Please do backups. And I know you're uploading things to iCloud, so it shouldn't be as bad if something goes wrong with your drive. But let's keep everything safe. And I would set everything up onto the new drive, and then export everything and upload it to iCloud from the old drive. And then you can keep those two drives in sync. And just a trick I learned from somebody the other day, actually, in the Discord: flip a coin every day and see which one of those drives you're going to use. And if one of them, you flip the coin and it says you're going to use drive A today, and you look at it and go, oh, I shouldn't do that. There's something wrong with your duplication system. So make sure to have your backups set up. But you can use this and set it up. And it works on Windows 10, Windows 8.1, Windows 8, and Windows 7. That said, if you're running an older version of Windows, I'd highly recommend upgrading to Windows 10. It will make this a bit easier. But you can upload all of your photos from File Explorer in Windows.
Nice. There you go, Jose. Our next question comes from Alex. Alex writes, when I set up my father's iPad, I set it to sync contacts, calendar, email, notes with Gmail. This was done long ago in the time before iCloud was very stable. Oh God, remember those times? Just recently, I noticed that his contacts were not syncing between the iPhone and the iPad. I checked, and the sync was on its settings, and most were there, but I found around 50 that are saved only to the iPad. It was always set to use the Gmail account to sync them, so I'm not sure how it got changed to local storage, but now it is. The question is there an easy way to move these contacts from the local storage to the cloud account? I can export the contact, delete it, and then import it to the cloud account. I tried to make a new cloud contact with the information and then delete the local one, but iOS knew that it was the same person and, well, it deleted both. I then just recreated it with the name and number on the cloud account. Some of the entries are just names and phone number, but a lot of them have multiple numbers and addresses, so it would be a lot of copy and paste per entry. I've seen online there are some apps that may do this, but I'm not excited about giving that information to another third party. And he doesn't have access to a computer to do the transfer on either. If I have to do it one at a time, it isn't the end of the world. It's just tedious. It's easy enough to see the local group on the iPad, but this is the second person I know that this has happened to. Thank you, Mikah and Rosemary, for the great show. All right. Alex, a lot of detail there, which we do appreciate because it helps us kind of get to the nitty gritty and understand what is working, what's not. I like the recommendation I can see that Rosemary has included because there was the mention, I think this is why you chose this one, about giving information to a third party. This company is a reputable company. So yeah, why don't you tell us about the one that you were considering here?
So the app that I would recommend for this is CardHop for iOS. It's made by FlexiBits, the people who also make Fantastical. There's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, FlexiBits is a good company. They've been around for a long time. And secondly, it's $3.99 for the app, so it's not a huge outlay. And thirdly, they don't actually want your data. They don't take your data off of your phone or your iPad. It just stays on your device. So you actually don't need to worry about all of your contacts being uploaded somewhere else and then them magically appearing on Facebook or something like that. It all stays local, which is what we want. And so within CardHop itself, you can actually open up a contact. And I've got my lovely test account contact right here. You can see, groups, and I've got my email address. And then if I tap on the edit button in the top right and scroll to the bottom, you can see my account. Okay. And if I tap on my account, I can switch it from one account to another account. The other account, I set that up badly in iOS. That's why it's called Untitled. But I can move this to a different account and it's now saved in my Google account. And that's it. That's all I need to do. And then I tap save. I change the account that it's in. You need to confirm that. And voila, this contact is now in my Google account. It's not in my iCloud account. This would work the same way if it was a local contact saved on my device. I do have that actually disabled because I don't want contacts saving on my local device. And that's something I set up in CardHop that I don't save contacts on my local device. You can toggle that on and off. That's not an iOS setting, unfortunately. But CardHop is a great application for a number of reasons. It has things like upcoming birthdays. So you can see my parents' birthdays coming up soon. My dad's going to be 64 next month, and my mom's turning 60. So I better make sure I get her a really nice dinner to go with those AirTags. But there's lots of things here, and being able to move contacts between accounts is just one of the many features of CardHop. So I would recommend checking that out, and you will be able to move them. It's also got groups and smart groups, so you can easily find all of the contacts which are just on the local account, and then you can move them over to the Google account. And after that, you should, fingers crossed, be done.
I love CardHop. CardHop is incredible. FlexiBits is incredible. FlexiBits makes some of the best apps for iOS and macOS out there. I would be lost without my calendar, without Fantastical, and CardHop is a great addition as well to kind of that productivity aspect. And so, yeah, the ability to properly kind of organize and understand the syncing and the organization is great. Definitely give CardHop a try, Alex, and know that is a reputable company that I think Rosemary and I both are happy to put, our, what am I trying to say, to endorse without any concern. A really good company. All righty. I do believe that brings us to the App Cap segment. Up next, our App Cap segment. It's time for App Caps. Alrighty, folks, this is the App Cap segment. I love it. One of our listeners in the Club Twit iOS Today chat has placed a cap upon their head to join us for the app. Actually, multiple caps upon their head to join us for the App Cap segment.
I'm not sure that is that user. I think that might just be an instrument.
Oh, is that just
in there, Micah? Yeah. But that's okay. That's okay. People joining in the fun.
Yes, there we go. I was fooled. Folks, this is the App Cap segment, the part of the show where we put on silly hats to honor our app picks, or I'm going to say our picks of the week this week because I did not choose an app. These are the apps or devices or products or things that we love that we want to share with you all, whether it be something that we just came across or something we've been, an app that we've been playing around with for a long time or something we've been using for a long time. These are how we celebrate those picks. And up first, Rosemary, tell us about your cap and then tell us about your app pick.
Well, this week I've taken a leaf out of my book from Toy Story, and I found my sheriff's cap. I'm afraid that the badge on it, this is plastic, and the rope is not particularly flexible. I think they put spray paint on it to make it gold, but it's fancy and I enjoy it. So why not? Anyway, today my app for the week is PikaView. Now, PikaView is a free app, and the story behind the app is Casey List, the developer. His daughter was, they were at Disneyland. This was a while ago, obviously. And his daughter kept wanting to look at photos on his and his wife's phone. But the problem is they were worried about her accidentally deleting photos and favoriting photos and things like that. And let's be honest, if you give your phone to a friend or a family member or a child, then to look through some photos, they're always going to swipe a little bit too far, right? They're always going to keep going to things that, they're not what you're intending to show them. And PikaView is designed to solve that problem. So I've set it up so it's got my favorites album. So of course, right away, you can see pictures of the cute kitty that I was fostering for a while and a meme that I saved from the internet that bats locate their food using sound. And so you can choose an album. So for example, your recent album or an existing album. There's also the smart albums that are created by iOS here, like selfies, or you can choose a custom album. So say you're showing your grandmother some pictures and you just want to select the odd picture here and there, then you can do that. And then if I tap done, then I have, there's the picture that I took earlier today when I was going for a walk. And then there's an image that I took of the AirTag that I 3D printed on top of the Tile Pro. And some of my other 3D printing things, the Sonos Roam that arrived this week, which we can talk about on a future episode, and my Nanoleaf light panels. But what I like is that this app is really simple, and it lets people still have the freedom to look at a particular image and maybe zoom in on things, which, is great. And they can, also, watch videos and toggle on and off the mute button easily. That's easy for them to do and just swipe through all sorts. And it's like the Photos app, but it's also, not necessarily it doesn't give people that option to delete photos and favorite photos. And you'll notice if I tap on this picture, there's no share button. There's no way to do this. So this combined with a little iOS feature called guided access. It's an accessibility feature to lock people into one app that you can enable, and then you triple press the button, the power button on your phone. And then that will lock you into the current app, and you can set up a PIN and everything so that people can't just exit it. That can allow you to give your phone to a small child and be comfortable having them just look through the selected pictures that they're in. I would say if you use guided access, you're going to want to block off the settings button. And that's something you can do. You can just draw over it to make it not work. And then there you go. So that's that. That's PikaView. And it's free to download, it's $4.99 to unlock all photos inside of the app. Which means that you can then set it up to be a read-only photo browser for literally all of your pictures. And I personally think it's a great app, and it's fun. It's got a cute little icon, and it works.
Yeah. Of course, also, I got to give a little shout out to developer Casey Liss, who's a friend of the show. My pick is not an app this week, but that's because I'm very excited about a new thing I got from 12 South. This is the 12 South Hover Bar Duo. It is a device for holding an iPad, or in my case with my iPhone 12 Pro Max, an iPhone 12 Pro Max, if you'd like to hold it too. This is a kind of arm for the iPad that is very adjustable, and it lets you have it in all sorts of what's the word I'm looking for? Orientations. So the base of it is all the way down here, and I'm just gonna. It's like boop 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 boop. Keep bringing it down, and then we finally get to the top of it. So this is great for iOS today, where I can have my iPad kind of almost across from me as I am tapping and typing on it, or doing the things that I need to do. And this is good. If Anthony, you want to show the website or something like that, I can. They show it being used as like in the kitchen for recipes. There you can see it clamped to a bar or a pipe or something, so that you can actually have it hanging up above you. It comes with a clamp that you can put on your desk, or you can put on an overhead bar or a cabinet. So they've got theirs right next to the oven as they are doing a recipe. Great for FaceTime or Zoom calls or what have you there. This is a really well-designed arm for the iPad that is, it like each part of it has tension adjustments you can make, so you can get it to adjust exactly as you want it to. The two pieces that let you move them, there's an influencer doing some makeup on probably TikTok or something. It works as a great monitor arm for Sidecar if you have your iPad connected to your Mac over that. And then there's a little divot in the base of the base. There's a little divot in the base that lets you just slot your little iPad or your Apple Pencil there, given that the clamp, of course, covers up the magnet on the side of the iPad. It is $79.99, which is rather expensive, one would argue, but it is such a well-designed, well-machined device, stand arm, that I can totally understand why it is that much. Anybody who's ever used 12 South products knows that they make really good products that work quite well. And I wanted to have a taller stand, so I picked this up on Amazon. They were out of stock for a while, and so I placed the order a while back, and then I got that notification saying, hey, we're sending you the hover bar now. And I was like, yes, I'm so excited. And yeah, it's great. It is really a just all-around well-designed stand. It comes with some Allen wrenches, so you can make adjustments to the tension of the device. And it clasps an iPad. But like I said, there you can see there's somebody talking with their iPhone, because it will hold the iPhone in horizontal mode. So it's a landscape mode. So it's a pretty versatile stand that is one of the tallest that I've come across, that actually, because I had a gooseneck thing, but it was just not strong enough. This I can use without a whole bunch of wobble, which is what makes it what made the other things difficult to use. So I've been very impressed with this, and like I said, I love that it's got a clamp and a base for that. In the chat, they said they need to add servos to it. That would be pretty cool if I hit a button and it went and it would move around how I wanted it to. So yeah, that is the 12
especially
South.
if they add Thread for HomeKit support, that would be great.
Oh, so then it becomes like an all-around base. This is the 12 South Hover Bar Duo, available for $79.99. I assume from 12 South, but you can get it on Amazon. 12 South sells their products on Amazon. And yeah, if you're looking for a solid stand for your iPad, look no farther than this one. And I'm excited to put a 12.9-inch iPad Pro in here. Oh, should be pretty exciting. All righty, folks. If you have Actually, before we round things out, I want to tell you about something pretty exciting. Rosemary Orchard and I have been talking a little bit about how folks have been talking to us in the chat. And of course, there's been chat over on irc.twit.tv, but we also have a very cool new thing. And it is a Discord server where folks can chat with us. And the reason why we have a Discord server is because we've announced something new. It's called Club Twit. What is it? Well, it's a members only, ad-free podcast service with a bonus Twit Plus feed. So what's that mean? It means you can get all of our shows without ads, completely ad-free. And you also get some special stuff, some pre-show, post-show fun, some things that we're planning that aren't part of that, that'll come out later. Lots of us have stuff in the works for that bonus Twit Plus feed. And you can get this all for just $7 a month. By doing that, you get the Twit Plus bonus feed, you get the shows ad-free, but you're also going to get exclusive access to our members-only Discord server where we are doing lots of things. So we, Rosemary and I have an iOS Today channel where folks are commenting and responding right now. We've gotten some stuff from there. That's where I got duped by the GIF that I thought was one of our listeners. But earlier today, Leo and Lisa hosted a live conversation about Club Twit and kind of what's coming up on Twit. So you'll get an inside look at stuff before it's out there. And then oftentimes it's an opportunity to chat with us directly. Leo a few times has on his shows brought people up onto the stage. There's a stage feature within Discord for folks to ask questions. And so I imagine Rosemary and I will do that soon too. We're still getting kind of internally the engineering side of things ironed out because it's a little involved to make that work. Of course, though, if anybody could figure out, it's Anthony. So once we talk to him about that and we get that figured out, I think we'll take some live questions as well. So if you want to chat with us directly, but also hang out with us, see, the real deal is the ad-free podcasting service with the Twit Plus bonus feed. But as a person who is a fan of other things and was invited to be part of the Discord for those people and get to talk to those people directly, for me, I feel like that's the big thing. Like I would pay $7 a month to go chat with some of my the people that I like for a podcast that I listen to. It's Dungeons and Dragons podcast. So I really feel like the Discord server is the super cool thing. I love getting to talk to people more directly. And the other day I was sharing what I was eating for lunch and other people were sharing what they were eating for lunch. It's fun. So if you would like to join, $7 a month for the ad-free podcasting, the bonus feed, and Discord, plus other stuff that we'll be announcing along the way, be one of the first to join us. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. That's twitch.tv/clubtwit to join. Super easy. For those of you who are listening with iOS today, it supports Apple Pay. So makes it very simple to do. And we appreciate you for doing that. Alrighty. If you have questions, feedback, etc., and Shortcuts Corner stuff, send those to iostoday@twitch.tv, or you can tweet at us with the hashtag #AskIOSToday. We record the show live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 11 a.m. Pacific. And you can tune in by going to twit.tv/live and then chat with us either in irc.twit.tv or by joining the Discord. And the best way to get the show is by subscribing to the show by going to twit.tv/iOS, and you can subscribe to the show in audio and video formats on lots of different places: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. Thanks to those of you who have written reviews for the show. We really appreciate that. There have been a lot of reviews coming in for iOS today. Very positive. People love Rosemary, and we love to have her here. And
people love you too, Micah. They love the Twit network.
It's totally okay to be secondary to Rosemary. I'm completely happy because
I don't see you as secondary. I think we're in pole position together. You know, it's a team event, right?
Yeah, there we go. We work together, and we do appreciate you all for leaving reviews. So you can join the party too if you haven't yet by leaving a review. We sincerely appreciate that. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online, check out your great work, where do they go to do that?
The best place is rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to all the things I do, including this wonderful podcast. And of course, there's links to Twitter and micro.blog, which are the two primary social media platforms I use, where my username is Rosemary Orchard. Mikah, where can people find you?
You can find me at Mikah Sargent on as many of the social media networks as I could come across. But you can also head to chihuahua.coffee, CHIHUA.coffee, which has links to the places where I am most active. Thank you all for tuning in this week. I have been Mikah Sargent, and I will continue to be Mikah Sargent. And this has been and will continue to be iOS Today. Goodbye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you are interested in checking out all things smart home and Internet of Things, then you should check out Smart Tech Today, the podcast I, Mikah Sargent, do with my co-host Matthew Casanelli. It's all about the smart home and improving your automations.